You know him from Doug, Space Jam. He's the red M&M. Honestly, there's no way you've grown up without hearing this wonderful man's voice. Let's hear it for Mr. Billy West.
It's too early for this shit. Thank you very much. Here I am hiding behind the curtain like I was, Axl Rose or something. Yeah, let's surprise everybody.
Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, you've voiced so many characters over the years. You've voiced pretty much all of our childhoods, and not just childhoods. I mean, even as adults, we've heard you, and we all know you from different things. I know, I was watching Doug one day, and my husband came in and was like, "Is that Billy West?" I'm like, "Well, yes, it is." And then, he's watching Futurama. I'm like, "Hey, it's Doug."
Oh,
and
man.
then even my little niece, she found out. She's like, "You're talking to the red M&M? That's the coolest thing ever."
I'm sick of me.
So why don't you just give just a brief rundown of
My
some
mom
of the things
wouldn't
you've
let me
done?
watch Ren and Stimpy. I don't like that. Imagine your mother telling you that. I like Doug. She loved Doug. Why can't you go do more things like Doug? I don't like that devil's work that you do with those guys. She said, "Do you watch that?" I go, "Of course I do, Ma. I have to see what I do for a living." That's okay. God rest her soul.
So Doug was definitely one of my favorite shows, and
Well, he was a painfully average 11-and-a-half-year-old, and this is my dog, Pork Chop.
They're 25 years older now. And I thought about it, and I said, you know what? In the real world, the little goody two-shoes kid could grow up to be go postal.
yeah, what do you think Doug's up to now?
I don't know, in the real world. And then the bad kid, all the bad kids I know either wound up dead or in jail or they became cops. Honest to God. All the toughest guys, that would come into the lunchroom and grab all the good pieces of cake, and I'd finally get there, little nerd, and I'd see a end piece with a thumbprint in it. Oh, that must be mine. So, so here they are 25 years later and say,
Dear Journal, today I blew up a courthouse.
in restraints, in federal court.
Arrested by Roger Klotz.
No, the judge, the magistrate is Roger Klotz.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh, looky here who's in my courtroom. Oh, funny, you loser. I knew I was going to see you someday. Oh, yeah. Yep, loser. It's written all over your face. It's even spelled wrong. You're getting 1,000 years in jail. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Oh, no.
So there.
Well, part of what made that such a good show is I think everybody can relate to over-exaggerating and coming up with these amazing scenarios or horrible scenarios.
But you know what, though? They weren't such an exaggeration.
That's true.
as
My
I
mom used to always
recall.
make fun of me and tell me I acted like Doug.
I used to have, you know what it was, this is something not everybody knows, maybe they know now, but I was on the autism spectrum. My dad thought I was stupid, and I used to I couldn't do anything. I couldn't tie a necktie. I couldn't tie my shoes. You could show me 1,000 times. I still wouldn't get it. I had no mechanical ability. Anything I touched would break, and people thought I was joking when I said, I can't touch that. It'll break. I said, you can't break it, though. And if I did it, something would happen. It would become cracked, bent, or unusable somehow, broken. And I just had to, I lived in my own little world because my dad was a tormentor. He was alcoholic and he was crazy and very violent. So I used to disappear. When I'm sure there's people here that your mental state is such where if someone starts screaming at you, you just disappear. You go to your own little planet and you're president of it. Mm-hmm. And that's where I spent most of my time, in another world. And, I couldn't do sports because I just had nothing going for me. I didn't know what my thing was. I used to just ask, why? Why is everything so goddamn hard? And then I look back and you know, somebody says, "Really, is that true? You can't tie a neck. You couldn't tie a necktie." I still can't. You make up your own version of tying shoelaces. Yes, I did mock-ups to approximate what it's supposed to be. I still do. That's what do you think I wear these for? And so, you know, it's like, but ask me to do a Fran Drescher impression. That I can do. Or Beatrice Arthur, Ma Blanche. No, I mean, that's crazy. But I mean, I can do all this peripheral stuff that, you know, I just didn't think I could do anything. You know, and then I always had this like little thing with voices and Touretting out noises, and people used to look down. They used to say, "Can you not do that? Can you shut up? You know, quit bothering everybody." And if I saw a piano, I would want to play it. And, you know, can you not do this? Can you not? And, you know, and I hated school. I hated it. I used to get sick every day thinking about going to school because I couldn't navigate it. I was pretty good with English, but I had trouble reading. You know, I had all these strikes against me, and look at the business I wound up in where I have to read reams of dialogue, and to me, sometimes it looks like bad road. It's not that easy. You know, you can make it look easy, but I'm getting better at it the more I practice. But it's just the rewards of a misspent youth. Who knew that at a certain age, you know, the world would open up and they'd say, "Yes, you are needed." So anybody that thinks that where they're sitting in life right now and that you don't have anything going for you, do not despair, you know, because I've been on the other side, and the future is unwritten. It's totally unwritten. You have no idea where you're going to be 5, 10 years from now, who you'll be sitting with, who you'll be talking to. You'll be amazed, you know, who you shake hands with and who you're working with. It's a beautiful thing to think about at a time when everything kind of looks bleak. You know, have faith. I'm writing a book, and I kind of shout out to all the disenfranchised kids, you know, like that were either beaten or went through certain mental illnesses or physical illnesses. And I said, the universe not only knows who you are, it knows your name, and it's rooting for you. And then I thought about it, and I said, that's kind of corny. I said, well, even if that's bunk, it's a good thought. You know, it's a good place to start, because your world is what you think it is. Whatever you think, if you think like that, like, yeah, the universe takes care of me, you know? It's kind of like an energy thing that you send out, and you do get it back. I'm a firm believer in that. Anyway, you were saying...
Well, you know, it's interesting you bring that up, because so many times, like, the very thing that kids got in trouble for becomes the thing they specialize in and just become just experts in.
Yeah, look at Jackass.
Yep. I mean, you got a point.
Imagine how his teachers felt when they saw his bank account, you know?
Few things more satisfying than...
No, but it's true that geez, I mean, you have gifts, but you don't know it. When you're a kid, when everybody's so busy yelling at you, you don't realize what gifts you have. You're just so busy feeling shitty because of everybody putting you down. I was like, it might be cool to be a geek or a nerd now, but it wasn't 65 years ago. They'd chase you home. They'd hunt you down. These guys, there's that freak. There's that kid that does those noises. And I mean, let's kill him. Let's go get him. And I used to have sneak ways of going to school and sneak ways of going home. Can you imagine that? Well, yeah, of course you can, because you've gone through it. I imagine bullies never change. They just get younger and they keep coming. They're like Viet Cong. And it's hard to believe that they're still around. Like, you can't believe it when you're a kid and you think, well, when I grow up, there won't be any of that. We elected one for president of the United States. You know? He might as well have been leading that charge against me when I was in the 3rd grade. Yeah, it's crazy how, you know, you're hoping that society and life will change, but I don't know. I guess I'm in the right business, because it's really good to make people laugh and enjoy things, and I've been very, very lucky, really fortunate that I could express myself.
Well, even just, I mean, just talking with you and hearing with you, I mean, it's just inspirational. So you're definitely doing a great job with everything.
I'm glad for that because, you know, if I could have been a doctor, I would have been. It's very noble to save lives. It's probably the most noble thing you could do. Look at those frontline workers in the clinics and the emergency wards. They got the mask on, and it's like someone tried to punch me in the mouth the other day when I was trying to save their mother. You know, and you can't believe what's going on. But to make people laugh, I think, is up there as far as a noble thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's powerful and it's incredibly healing just to be able to just make somebody laugh, both for the person that you're helping and then for yourself, too, because you know what it's like to be in their position.
My heroes were, originally, they were like funny people. You know, one of my idols was a guy named Sid Caesar, and he was around in the 50s, and he was, you know, this is when television was in its infancy. There was barely 3 channels on TV, and this guy had a show, an hour a week, and it was live television. In other words, like, if you went over by 30 seconds, the network would cut you off. It wasn't pre-taped, and anything could happen. And these people were so magnificent. It was Sid Caesar, Carl Reiner, and a brilliant woman named Imogene Coca. And they did all these characters, and Howard Morris was the other guy. Go back, just if you're curious, you know, on YouTube, there's this show called Your Show of Shows. And when you watch that stuff, you go, how were they this good in the very beginning? You know, did entropy just make us all suck after 60, 70 years? You know, television is like, you know, I don't know. Television's better than it used to be at this point. But you got to watch streaming.
Yep.
Yeah, I think.
Now, you had mentioned earlier about how, you know, you'd see a piano and you play it. Now, I know you have a little bit of a musical background as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, when I was 10 years old, I got this opportunity to join the school orchestra. You know, they would go to kids that couldn't even play and said, do you think you might have any interest in this? And I said, yeah. I saw these shiny instruments, you know, that the school had, and these trumpets, and they were sparkling, you know, and there was no good trumpet left for me by the time I went to get one, so I had to settle for a cornet, which is a flugelhorn. There's names for it, but it's just a small trumpet, and it sounds a little more mellow, and I said, you know what, I can do something with that, I bet. And I was getting somewhere, and on summer vacation, the knobs, the valves started sticking, and I couldn't do anything with it, and I'm like, you know, again, trying to fix something that I don't have any business touching. And and I had a streak in me too, which was a crazy streak. And I took the thing and I was banging it on the couch, you know, trying to make the valves go up and down. And the rims were crimped and bent and screwed up. And I said, yikes. So I go back to school and I said, I'm going to get clobbered when they see this. And the teacher goes, hey, what the hell? He goes, somebody's been banging and banging and banging this thing. And I was acting like it wasn't me. You know, it's like when in Congress, when they point to somebody whose phone number shows up on a text, you know, that can get them in worlds of trouble, they go, ah, 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 ah. And he said, do you know what valve oil is? No. And so I started having fantasies of being boiled alive in valve oil with Louis Armstrong snickering at me with his trumpet. Yeah. And the other thing music-wise was we had a guitar in my house. God only knows why, but it was an old Stella. If you ever hear people referring to these guitars that Sears made for just families, you could just go in and buy a little guitar. And we had one, and I used to plunk around with it, but I was getting nowhere with it. And it was when my mom moved me and my 2 brothers out of this hell house to Boston from Detroit. And she got me a guitar in 1964, and I was hell-bent on playing it because I had just seen, well, I knew who Elvis was, because I had seen them on TV in Detroit. But the Beatles had just come out. And I looked at that and I was electrified by that. I said, oh my God, I want to sing, I want to play. How cool, how cool. And, you know, you were like one in a million if you played guitar and sang. Kids would scream at you from the bus if they saw you with a guitar case. Now it doesn't mean jack shit. But it works, everything works in reverse, like everything that people thought was important in school in the old days. Everything I learned would have no practical application in the year 2021. Not one bit of it. So I should have never gone, you know? I should have joined the circus or something. Really, honest to God, when I think about it, I said, why did I waste all those years in school when I do stuff that people used to say, can you not do that? And I get paid for it. Yeah.
That is brilliant. What would you do in the circus if you were to join the circus?
What would I do in the circus?
Yeah, what would you do?
Oh, God, I don't know. Well, I'd have to start somewhere, so I would probably have to prime the elephants, you know, with a broomstick. And it's like, God, you know, do you like doing that? You know, I said, what, and give up show business? I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would do. I'd fall off the trapeze because I have no coordination. I'd be done in half an hour.
Well, I'm sure it'd be entertaining regardless.
It would.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, having a musical background, I know sometimes the characters you play, they have to sing. What is it like? How hard is it to sing like in a character voice rather than like using your own regular voice?
For me, for somebody like me who was a freak, it's I don't want to say it's easy because it's an applied discipline, but I had an aptitude to be able to do it. I could sing in other characters' voices, but my own voice, I had no idea like what I was supposed to sound like as me. So I kind of didn't do that. The other thing about playing music was I played in bands for years after I got out of high school. And they took away my spandex license in 1978. I was in a glitter band, you know, shaking my ass around, and I had a hair that was piled this high, and, you know, the whole works. We had to buy our clothes in a woman's clothing store because they didn't have, like, you know, that British look. They didn't have that in Boston, so we had to go to this place. And we'd walk in and pretend we were English, and the sales girls were like, "Are you really from England?" "Yes, we are. You know, we're just looking for some clothes." And they were enamored. And then we'd go play at a club in town that night. But I never got anywhere with that band. I was an alcoholic, troubled, drug. You know, not too much drugs in the beginning, mostly alcohol. But I was like a terror. I was like the little devil. You know, I was acting out all the stuff that my father did to me. I was kicking things and breaking things and raging, you know, because of that delayed reaction of childhood. It's like I didn't know what would come over me. I would become so angry. But then I sobered up, luckily, and I stopped doing drugs and alcohol. This was like 30 years ago. But I got to play music with one of my heroes, one of my idols, who was Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. Yeah, I found myself playing with him, doing 6 gigs. I was playing lead guitar. We played on David Letterman, and we did some gigs around town. And this guy was my idol. You know, even more than like the Beatles, I liked the Beach Boys for some reason because of the harmonies. That's what it was. And here is this genius that wrote, you know, Good Vibrations and God Only Knows, and I'm standing next to him, and I'm like, I thought my head was gonna fall off. You know, it's like that Talking Heads song, you know, and you may find yourself on the David Letterman show, and you may find yourself playing with Brian Wilson. How did I get here? That's what it seems like when life rushes by, and all of a sudden you're sitting in this situation, you go, how did I ever get here? It's mind-blowing, and I'm not, these aren't exclusive events to like one person. I'm saying that those kind of things can happen to anybody if you're open to it, if you put out a certain type of energy. the reason all of us are here in this room is we recognize each other's energy, obviously, or we wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here, and you wouldn't be here. And you,
I mean,
Amanda.
seriously, if you told my 8-year-old self that I would be sitting here talking to you, I would not believe you. And like,
Really? I can't think of it like that. That's surreal
it's
to
just
me.
so amazing. Just like somebody that I grew up with, and now all of a sudden I'm talking to you. Like,
I raised
no big
you?
deal. You did. You did. You
You
raised
look like
me.
you grew up okay to me.
Oh, thank you. You did a good
You don't
job.
have screwed up brainwaves or anything, because I couldn't do anything about that.
I mean, it's a little screwed up, but
Yeah.
you know, maybe the voice acting and all
Well,
the
you got it
characters you played
together to
helped.
get married and stuff.
That did help. To a fellow Billy West fan.
Yipes. Yipes. But I have my gallery of heroes, and I get immersed in that, and I don't think of myself like that. You know, it's like I met one of my idols, another guy, Jeff Beck, who, since I was 15, I was just blown away by the guy, how good he could play and how gifted. And me and my friend went to see him, and I said, what must it be like to just be touched by God, to have God's index finger like on your friggin' head, you know? And he goes, well, you should know. And I said, what are you talking about? He says, you're the same thing, only you do something different. And I said, oh, God, I can't think like that. But he knew who I was, Jeff Beck, because he said, we watch Ren and Stimpy in the UK. I said, this is crazy. This is beyond belief. Yeah. And my knees were knocking. I don't care about celebrity, you know? I mean, I know them. I've worked with them and everything, but celebrities were never my heroes. I never had that worship of celebrities. Da Vinci, yes. Jonas Salk, yes. Painters, sculptors, musicians. Aaron Copland, composers, you know, they were my celebrities. They were my heroes. And so to this day, it's like very rare that somebody could make me, yeah. And before I met Jeff Beck, my knees were literally like this, shaking. And then when he said he knew who I was, I went, I guess it all works out somehow. You know, you take a deep breath and you go, everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
The reason you're laid up and there's nothing going on in your life, there's a reason for that. Because you're too lazy to go look for work. No,
That can be a reason.
there's a reason why there's inactivity, and then when there's like this spate of activity, I think it's because you put it out there. If you walk around sulking and you, well, how come my check doesn't have 3 more zeros on it, and God damn it and everything. If there's any bad energy in the area, it comes straight for you like a javelin.
Yeah.
And that's why you'll start to trip or cut your hand, you know, because stuff keeps happening. So if you cancel it out and go, okay, no more, canceled, and you think a different way, I swear to God, it's a real thing. You guys must have read about this stuff. It's manifesting. Yeah. No?
Well, you know, it's like when you're walking through the house and you're mad at something, and naturally your jacket's gonna catch on like the doorknob or
course.
something. Every single time.
I'm late.
Happens all the time.
Yeah, it does. But, you know, I mean, that's kind of like the spiritual side or the meta side. But luckily, without realizing it, I had the Billy verse, you know, which I could just pull out of my rear end when I needed it, and made a career out of it.
Billyverse, I like that.
Well, it's what saved me.
There you
Humor, laughter, and people that were funny, and comedians, and that's what saved me from misery. Into this very day, I make jokes about stuff that are like awful to think about, but I'll put a spin on it because I can't get my mind around certain things. It's like I can't believe certain things are going on, so I'll make a remark about it just so I can laugh
Yeah.
and somehow embrace it. I don't know.
Well, sometimes it's like, well, you can either laugh about it or cry about it, and crying's not going to do you any good. So
Well,
sometimes laughing helps.
Yeah, but trying to be funny is like it can make you public enemy number one because everybody's so sensitive. But when Rush Limbaugh died, and I was in radio, and I couldn't stand him because I saw what he was doing to people, and he was just having a jolly time manipulating the feelings of people that were unstable about what they believed, and he was like this big voice, and they say, I'm a ditto head. And when he died, I said, a lot of people don't know this, but Rush Limbaugh invented high-def radio. He was both high and deaf. And somebody wrote me, I used to like you. Oh boy, here it comes. BLM, da-da-da, da-da-da. You're 20 years old, you know. How do you know what my motive is in life? I used to like you, but I hate you now because you made fun of deaf people. And I was going to respond, and some other guy jumps in. He goes, way to have a sense of humor, a-hole. He said, Rush Limbaugh made more fun of people than Billy West ever could in his entire life. He made fun of Michael J. Fox. He made fun of this one and that one. You can go back and listen to him, how cruel he was. And so I said, I wasn't making fun of deaf people. I was making fun of him because he brought it on himself with the damn drugs. You know, he made himself deaf. And but you know, when you're explaining stuff, you're losing. Yeah, you're losing. It's like, don't you get it? You know, you're investing too much. You're getting defensive, and yeah.
Well, you know, this year celebrated the 25th anniversary of Space Jam, which I'm sure we have a lot of Space Jam fans here in the audience.
Me.
What? Yeah, exactly. And you know, you'd mentioned earlier like different heroes that you've worked with or gotten to meet. How was it working on a pre-established character, especially a pre-established character voiced by Mel Blanc, as opposed to like creating your own?
Well, finally we get to that aspect of like idolatry. He was one of my heroes, of course, because he lit the way for everybody else. He was uncredited, you know. In those old cartoons, they didn't even put his name in, and then eventually he argued for that, and they were like touchy about it, and then they put his name in. All right. But I learned a lot from just listening to him. He could act. Those characters, every character he could act on in a different way. He could, it was so marvelous, you know. They weren't alike. They had different personalities and different aspects of their ups and downs emotionally, their resonance and et cetera. And, you know, so I said, oh, God, those are awful big shoes to fill. So I didn't try to fill them. I just said, I'm going to go do it because they asked me to do it, you know, because I auditioned for it.
And I got to work with Michael Jordan, too, Doc. The closest thing to a religious figure that we have.
And I get paid in carrots. You know, the whole works. The whole works.
So which of your characters do you think would be the most fun to spend the day with? And who would you get in the most trouble with? And that can be the same person.
Of any character or?
Any character that you've played. Anybody.
Oh, anybody I played. Yipes, I don't know. I wouldn't want to hang with some of them. I think the Futurama characters would be interesting to hang around. If I hung around like Zap Brannigan, I'd just be sitting back in amazement at how stupid he is. I'd be bemused. Do you know what I mean? I'd probably be chuckling. And I even did a thing on when Trump was president. Somebody said to me, you know, the things he says, he sounds like Zap Brannigan. And I went, geez, you know what? Maybe they're right. So I read some stuff that Trump said in Zap Brannigan's voice, and we put a picture of him up on Twitter. It was like, I pay my wife $1 a year and all the dresses she can buy. And they said, did Zap Brannigan say? No. It was like it was written for him. And, you know, I have a great relationship with the blacks. You know, it's the same, it's almost the same thing with this weird, stupid awkwardness and this brash, you know. He definitely is Dunning-Kruger, which is a syndrome, which there are some people that are so stupid they don't know they're stupid. Gotcha. And they think they're all that. You know, he's definitely in that category. But, yeah, those characters, I don't know, they seem fun.
Greetings from the year 3000, it still sucks. So shut up and take my money. Good news, everyone. Bad news.
We ran out of good newses once. And then,
She's a beautiful ship. I'm going to fly her brains out. Yeah.
You know, just they're such beautiful characters because they were constructed and nurtured, and it was a concerted effort by all these brilliant people, and then they go, what are you going to do with it? And I'm like, oh, no pressure. But I thought long and hard before I opened my mouth. And they showed me a picture of Zoidberg, and he had all this cool meat hanging off his face. And I said, he'd be impaired somehow. So I thought of these marble mouth comedians from vaudeville and the old movies and everything. There was a guy named George Jessel who, he would just say stuff like, you know the definition of a smartass? A fellow that can sit on an ice cream cone and tell you what flavor it is. And there was another guy, he was in the movie Arthur, his name was Lou Jacoby, he came from Yiddish theater, and he's the one that leaned into Dudley Moore and went, what's it like to have all that money? And I thought, these are perfect mushmouth guys, and I said, that would be great for Zoidberg, so I cold fused them or super collided them or whatever you want to call it. And your music is bad, and you should feel bad. So that's where that comes from.
Do you ever voice? Do you ever base the voices on people you know or anything?
Well, I put the Three Stooges in almost everything I've ever done, either their noises or something, because they had such a profound effect on me. Because they used to show it before I went to damn school in the morning. So I went to school with a head full of "why you," be careful, Mo, instead of academia. But I was learning how to act. That's the biggest joke of all, is my mother's, how can you watch those horrible men? I said, Ma, it was like useless trying to explain it to her, what my attraction to it was. Not just the overblown violence and all that. It was, they were comic actors, and I was learning timing and delivery, It was not for nothing. I don't know. Who did you grow up loving?
Who did I grow up loving? I mean, I was a Nickelodeon kid.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so, I watched, Doug was what I loved. That, Hey Arnold, watched that. Occasionally, I would sneak and watch The Simpsons, but I wasn't allowed to watch that.
Oh, wow.
Because, I was little, but I had older sisters, so I would just conveniently be in the same room as they were.
Such a brilliant show.
Right.
And to work with Matt is, oh, God, he's so great, and he's so funny, and he's so, understated. He's not all over the place like I am. I mean, he'll just say something just killer funny, and we'll die looking at each other, and especially the writers, they were like reinventing comedy in a way. Like, there's some things that they've said that didn't exist before, and one of them was, "Hey, Fry, I heard beer makes you stupid." He goes,
Norm doesn't.
And I looked at David Cohen, the director. I said, "David, Noam doesn't?" He goes, "Please read it as written." Okay, but I'll be back for that $800 fix-it fee. And then I saw it on TV, and I was like, ah! I get it. It was the best acting I ever did because I didn't know what I was saying.
That is brilliant.
And it was Fry.
Yes.
The best, honest acting I ever did.
That is awesome. Well, I think we're going to take some audience questions, if that's okay with you.
Okay, sure.
All right, Chris, if you could please have everybody, this is our wonderful mic runner, Chris, here. He's going to be helping you guys out.
Hey, Chris.
Now, what we're going to do is have you guys line up behind him. You'll have, if you can, just stick it to one question at a time.
Yeah, don't be afraid. Even if you have a thought, you can come up and lay it on us.
Come on up.
Or if you think about this business, you might want to be part of it, or just curiosity stuff.
Let's just have some fun.
Yeah, let's have some fun.
Rip it. All right. So a future Fry-related question.
Yes.
Or thank you for opening up about your maybe lack of technical skills, but everything you touch, you break. Really, now I'm looking at Fry in a different light because I don't think I've heard that side of you in Dragon Con panels and other such interviews.
But there's a lot of myself, that's my voice when I was 25 years old. I was all whiny and nasally and complaining. And, oh, man, I broke a string. Shit, what am I going to do now? And I was also, as far as girls were concerned, I was a project. Somebody that had to be fussed with, and it's like, don't button it all the way up. And
But I think
And-
the comedy of the fact that he would try so hard to do things to impress Leela and usually end up breaking.
But it was a project.
But
And I
then he
wanted to
could-
make him that deliberately because it gave him another dimension, which is something else for you to, like, think about or get with.
And yet he can spell out "I love Leela" in the stars, and she never sees it, and it's like all that work, just the heart. That's what I'm getting at. Is the heart
The
is
heart,
in there.
yeah, you're absolutely right. That is the greatest thing of all about the show is, you have an emotional investment once you start watching it. People feel so good about it, I guess they fall asleep to it. That's trust.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, though. Hey, it's you.
Yeah, it's me. No, I'm just kidding. So I just want to know, as a voice actor, what are some things you do to like warm up, things you avoid, like just routine stuff for you before you get into session?
I wish I could say that. The only exercises that I ever did was when I had the flu once, and it killed me. I was sick for 3 weeks, and I couldn't talk. And something happened during that illness where I wound up with like one working vocal cord. It couldn't rub up against anything else, so I had no control over where the words landed when I was acting, and I started to freak out. And they said, "What's the matter?" I said, "This is awful." "What?" "It's just I'm not hitting the bar, And they said, "Listen, your worst day is better than some other people's best day." And so I had to go with that, but I felt it. I felt like I was really struggling. So I did these exercises. A voice builder in Los Angeles, his name is Gary Katona. He taught me some vocalizations. He can't teach you how to sing, but he can teach you how to build your voice, to make the lowers lower and the highers higher, and it's really helpful. But I would do a couple of his things to clear it out. What it did was open your throat. When you can't talk and you can't really make things happen, it's because your throat closes up. And it could be nerves, it could be anything. But there's a musculature around your throat, and most people never get exercise, and it's a real muscle. But these exercises strengthen that muscle so that when you're screaming and your vocal cords are taking this pummeling, the muscle's strong enough to take it for the vocal cords so they don't get smashed. And, it's a whole thing. I just have magical thinking. I like to think that I don't know why anything happens. It's like a bee. You see this big fat bee flying around, and you go, it's aerodynamically impossible for that thing to fly, but it doesn't know it. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Hi. Question.
Hi.
What's it like voicing the red M&M?
What's it like?
Yeah.
Well, he's sort of a candy-coated Leonardo DiCaprio. No, I don't know. I've been doing that for almost 30 years.
Oh.
Yeah, crazy, huh?
Yeah.
That Christmas commercial that you see every year,
Love
that
it.
was done 28 years ago.
Yeesh.
And the only other Eminem story that's funny is when I was married, I came home from work and my wife was watching TV and she said, "Get in here, quick, quick." "What?" "Look at this show." And it was Oz on HBO, the prison show. I don't know if you ever saw it, but it was hardcore. And it was like, she said, "Now, wait, look at this guy. Look at this guy, this MF. He ain't no actor. This guy's the real deal. He's the worst guy in the prison. He's psychotic, and he's a murderer, and et cetera, et cetera." And I went, She said, "What?" I said, "I know him." She said, "You do?" And I said, "Yeah, he's the yellow M&M." Which was J.K. Simmons. 30 years ago or so. And I knew he was going to be a national treasure. I said, there's something special about this guy. Oh, my God. Wait, because he wasn't that well known then.
Oh.
But then, like now, forget about it. He won an Oscar
Yeah.
for Whiplash. And 2 days later, he was working with me in the studio doing the yellow M&M. He's a journeyman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish everybody could be more like that, you know, that the craft means everything to him, not the celebrity and not the image. You know, most people have it backwards.
Good to hear about J.K. Simmons.
What's that?
That's good to hear about J.K. Simmons.
What about him?
That's good to hear about him. that
Oh,
he's a-
good to hear about him?
Yeah.
Oh, that he's a good guy?
Yeah, yeah.
No, he's a totally good guy. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
He's scary good.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hey, I wanted to, before I ask my question, I wanted to tell you kind of, I thought, a cool story. My husband and I are both massive Futurama fans. I'm a huge Ren and Stimpy fan, too, because my dad and I would watch it together.
Hey, Ren, will you button me? You shut up, you fool! You pig!
That's my
You swine! I shall kill you!
It's like some of the best memories watching it with my dad.
Wow.
That was like, my mom wouldn't let me watch like 90% of things, but for some reason, Ren and Stimpy was fun.
I know, it's so harmful, a piece of plastic with paint on it.
Right. So my husband and I, big Futurama fans. I didn't have cable when the finale came out, so he called me on the phone and described to me what happened at the end of it. And so I was sitting in my laundry room, like listening to him talk about it and crying because it was just a fantastic ending.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I had to wait a while to watch it, and it was kind of like a cool memory that I just thought it was
sad
cool. Yeah,
stuff?
Absolutely a spectacular show.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, I didn't get to see it for like 6 months after, but he described it to me.
Oh, man, yeah, it's tough to take. I mean, I read it, I recorded it, and I knew it was going to be sad. I just didn't know how sad.
Yeah.
And I saw it on TV, and I was getting, like everybody else, I was getting wistful, you know. And I said, why is this affecting me so profoundly? And I think it's because everybody knows what it's like to bond with an animal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To have a pet, a dog, a nice dog, or a cat, or whatever. And you want them to live forever, or at least as long as we do. But they don't.
Yeah.
And you've got to say hello and goodbye to a lot of beautiful little friends in your life. They make us better than we are, those animals.
Yeah.
And I wish I was half the man my stupid cat thought I was.
We should all be so lucky.
I know, huh?
My question, I had a slightly different one, but I thought this one would be more interesting.
Sure.
What's your weird hill to die on? Mine is I like the second Back to the Future better than the first one, and it's just a weird opinion I have. What's your weird hill to die on?
Oh, God, I don't know. It's like it's so open to...
I have a different question if you can't think of one.
I don't know. The hill to die on. Yipes. I can't even imagine. I never much thought about that. I mean, if you're thinking of something that resonates with you and you're kind of stuck on it, you can't get past it.
Like it's always something, it's not like controversial in any sense, but it kind of feels like it, Like some people really don't like chocolate. You're like, why?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
I wash with it. I don't know. You got me.
Nah,
You did it. Are you happy now?
I've done it. I've ended the panel
Now I gotta slink out of here.
before anybody sees you.
Busted.
My other one, this one's probably easier. What is something that nobody ever asks you about in these things that you want to talk about?
Oh, God.
I'm sorry.
I wouldn't know because if they didn't ask me, I don't. Boy, you're getting philosophical here. Yipes. Yipes. Do you ever read Nietzsche and Teilhard de Chardin and other existentialists? Because we're getting so existential here.
Sorry.
I don't know don't ask me. That I would wish somebody would ask me.
I don't know. What do you want to what's something you want to talk about you never get a chance to talk about at these things?
Oh, yipes. It would have to be childhood stuff, but it's a bummer. The first part of my life, I mean, it would scare the raccoons out of the woods if I told you some of the stories.
Yeah.
But they'll be in this book that I'm writing, and the spoiler is the book does have a happy ending, but it's pretty abysmal in the beginning, and life got a little, I don't know, more, not so much out of my control, but kind of like manageable.
Yeah.
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 Alright.
Plus, I had to be, I was depressed since I was born, and chronic low-level depression, ADHD, OCD, you name it, you
Yeah.
know, and the pills. Hey, I was on everything but a skateboard, you know.
I appreciate you talking about that stuff. I'm sure a bunch of people in here do too, because not
But
a lot of people
I
do.
was like, I
Yeah.
never knew why I was so sad and why I was so miserable and why I was scared because my soul dictates that I'm fearless. There's nothing I won't try. You know, I'm not afraid of anybody in the world, and it's like, you know, what do you think about this? And do I have the balls to try it? Yeah, of course. But then why would I get like this all in, like scared of nothing? You know, like this just undetermined anxiety and fear, and nobody has to live like that in this day and age. Nobody has to feel like that because you can go to a doctor and they can say, well, it sounds like this and that to me, and hopefully you'll get prescribed the right type of medication that'll allow you to live on a level playing field with everybody else.
Yeah.
I thought everybody else was going through what I was going through, and yet I was like a pussy. I couldn't live life on life's terms, you know, and look at all these other people. They're stronger than you, and look at how they carry on. And it's not like that at all.
Yeah.
They just don't suffer through it like a certain group of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're beating yourself up, you know, and
Yeah.
you're like making things worse. But no, it's all good. It's all good.
Thanks for talking with me.
Oh, thank you for being glib enough to carry on a conversation with me. And me.
Hi.
Hi.
It's great hearing from you. I was wondering, when you were starting out in the beginning, did you face a lot of rejection, and were there any roles that you were turned down from that you really wanted?
Rejection starts early. You know, like when I would be in my house and I would figure out something, I'd say, this is really cool. I just figured out something really cool. I can't wait to lay it on my friends or the other guys. And I would go and I would do it, and they'd just sit there and look at me. And I used to say to myself, how good do you have to friggin' be to impress these mooks, you know? How good do you have to be? And it wasn't that. It was, I wish my older self could come back and talk to my younger self. Do you know why they act like that, Billy? Because you are a constant and painful reminder of what they will never, ever be able to do in their lives. Geez, I'd hate me too. You know? They're just looking at you. And I used to think it's because they weren't impressed. No, they were frightened. But, you know, you don't know those things when you're young, so you're driven and driven and driven. I've got to be a superlative. I got to be a superlative. I don't know.
Thank you.
Does that mean anything to you?
Thank you so much.
I have to double check. I don't want to fake it here.
Mr. West,
Yes,
it is
sir.
a sincere pleasure to see and speak to you in person.
Thank you.
Like you said, like you with celebrities, I'm not big on them.
Yep.
But you and Tom Kenny are like my celebrities, and you guys are
He's my hero, too.
he's amazing. And
Yeah, he sure is.
listening to you guys speak and just like be funny, and even off the show, is one of life's pleasures for me. And I think you guys are the most talented voice actors since Mel Blanc.
Wow, thank you so much.
I
That means a
sincerely
lot
mean
to
that.
me because just knowing that it resonates with people, you have no idea how it's being perceived when you're recording it and you're by yourselves. But it goes out into the world and you hope for the best. But to be part of two cultural phenomenons is like more than anybody could ever ask for. You're looking at a very grateful person. And funny you brought up Tom Kenny, because when we talk, that a conversation always leads to how lucky we are.
Yeah, he always is so grateful. You know,
What
you
are
can
the
see
odds?
it.
What are the odds that people would even know who you are, let alone what you did? You know? So
Yeah.
it's like, oh my God, I'm filled with gratitude.
My question is, referring to the OCD,
Yes.
what helps you the most to face the fear of like your own thoughts and the rumination, to kind of like let those thoughts just pass by and say, these are just thoughts, like I don't have to listen to this?
It's sometimes that's not enough. Like I was ruminating half my life away, thinking about shit that happened 28 years ago and going, you know?
Yeah, I completely understand.
Yeah, and it's like your heart speeds up, and then you go, wait a minute, why am I even? And then it'll come back again, and it's called, like you said, rumination. And there's a way to get out of it. I used to listen to meditations.
Okay.
saying that, somebody, I don't know if I can explain this. I was desperate to find a way to separate what I think are the consequences to a stupid feeling. They're two
Yeah, I
different
get
things.
that. Yeah.
They're two different things. So I physically went, okay, here's all the bad stuff, and here's the stupid feeling. Let's separate them.
Yeah, like all those things that you think are going to happen, but they never
Yes.
do.
And you separate them in your mind, and then you throw away all that other stuff, and you're left with a feeling.
Yeah.
A stupid little feeling that doesn't mean jack shit.
And that takes the
It has
power away.
takes the power away. Yeah, it actually helped me. I saw this guy on YouTube, and he was going, "It's really easy." Yeah, it's easy for you to say. You're a PhD. No, I know, but yeah, it's like there's no reason to live like that nowadays. There's so many people on YouTube that have, ways of thinking about things. It's a blessing. I mean, there's way more on YouTube besides influencers and hey guys. Everything's-
Cat
They
videos.
should make a movie about YouTube called Hey Guys. Hey guys, every friggin' hey guys, like and subscribe. Smash that button.
Smash that like button.
Oh, nothing like cliches, huh, lady? I don't know.
But thank you, Mr. West. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's nice of you to say that. Oh, man.
I'd love if you follow my YouTube channel.
You forgot Hey Guys.
Yeah. Smash.
Hey guys. Hey guys. Hey guys.
So cool talking. I grew up with you, so
Yeah?
it's very cool. Yeah, thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you.
My question is it possible today to pursue animated voiceover acting outside of LA? Or is it a necessity to move and tips to break in, all that good
It
stuff?
used to be. It used to be you had to go to where the meccas were. Like I was in Boston and I was in radio and I had gone as far as I could possibly go. I used to have fun. I used to be able to write comedy. It's where I cut my teeth and learned the craft, and then I could just go on a microphone and do it. It was an FM station. It was really progressive, so they let me run wild with another guy who was really talented. And we used to hatch plots and write stuff and record it, and we just wanted to make people laugh. We were screwing around, but there was a certain seriousness to it as far as the discipline of doing it. That blank piece of paper is God's way of telling you how hard his job was. What am I gonna write? What am I gonna do? But you don't have to be in those places, I don't believe. There are people that work out of their houses, that they have studios that are nowhere near Hollywood. And it's back when I was getting going, I had to move to New York from Boston. And it was daunting. It was frightening to me. New York was so big, and it took me forever to figure out how to get around and going from audition to audition. And rejection. The fellow that was up here a little earlier asking about rejection. Rejection's a way of life. Just remember when you want to do this, if you can get past this, it's a business of 95% unemployment and your job is looking for work. How's that?
Yeah.
No, but if you catch something and you run with it like a sky hook and it's a little luck, it's skill, it's a million little things. Why do things come together at a certain point? But it's well worth it because of the satisfaction. Most actors are not working all the time, no matter who you see on TV. Boy, I'd like to be one of those guys. No, I don't know if you would. Because a lot of them they'll work and never get another gig in their life. They get a part in a movie. Voiceover, if you're good and you have passion, which, I assume that those things drive you or eat you up, one or the other, and I was bursting to contribute. That's the driving engine that pushed me forward. I just wanted to contribute. I didn't want to be a star. I didn't give a F about that. I didn't think you could make any money, certainly. So I went into it for all the right reasons. But if you're true of heart, as they say, you know, in the old parables, and you are focused, and you know what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, you know, go and try things, apply, knock on some doors. I went to a radio station in Boston. I won a contest, you know, and next thing you know, I was in there. They wanted me to hang out, and I finally got a little job there. But that's where that started. You want to be where you're needed. But see, in this day and age, you can do cool stuff, but you can be in, you know, Upper Volta. I don't know. I don't know where that came from.
Thank you so much.
Does that make any sense to you?
It really does, yeah.
But passion and, oh God, I don't know, excitement about discovery. Yeah, it's so easy to just get blasé about everything. But, you know, the artists are the ones that look over in the corner of the room and see something nobody else can see. And it doesn't exist until they create it, and then all of a sudden it exists. It's something that didn't exist before. That's the dynamic.
It's an honor, man. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Did it.
All right, guys, we're down to about 2 more minutes, so let's try and
Are you
get
that
through.
busy?
I'm not that busy.
You have to leave?
Well, no, I don't have to leave.
They said
but-
you have to talk for an hour. I can't talk for an hour. I can talk for 3 hours.
Okay, that works.
I can't talk for an hour. I really can't. They have to drag me out of here. Yes.
If you could voice anybody from anything, what would that person be?
Yipes, I don't know. I've never coveted anybody else's gig. I did do the pilot for Invader Zim. And then my friend Richard Horowitz did the series, and he's brilliant. He's a genius, that guy. And I'm in awe of his energy and his take on things. So I don't feel like, oh, I wish I could have done that, or oh, I should have done that. I don't feel that way. I think it's more about, I can only wonder what's coming down the road, like what somebody presents me with. You know, the wish that you have is to keep working, not to wish you could do a certain character or that. I don't know. I don't mean to sound like, you know, clinical and chronic about it. It's just that, I don't know. I mean, if I watch a cartoon, I don't go, I should have done that. You know, because that's just bad juju. That's bad energy. That coveting and
Maybe that guy will die, and then maybe I can steal his soul.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Stay on the good foot. In other words, there's the lesson. Stay on the good foot.
Well, as much as I would love to talk to you for 3 hours, I think we'll get kicked out if we
Okay.
decide to do that.
Yeah,
but
we will get
everybody,
kicked out.
thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Billy West, for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I really do. Thank you.